Jess. I'm the Director of Product Management here at DMS, and I've been with the company for about 4.5 years now. I'm hoping to share a little bit of my background outside of work with you today, so specifically my caregiving journey. For me, it has been a very gradual experience. It's been something that has been throughout the span of my life. Many of the strong women in my life have struggled with illnesses of various types, so I've been fortunate enough to be in a very supportive family where we all can chip in and help one another. The earliest experience that I had with caregiving was with my eldest sister. She is born with severe schizophrenia. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a mental illness that affects your brain functioning, so it can cause you to see and hear things that are not real, delusions, paranoia. So it's a very challenging illness for just day-to-day life. And then my mother was a little bit more recent, about 10 years ago. Her health started deteriorating. She's dealing with constant chronic pain with headaches, nerve pain, and on her best days it's not noticeable at all. On her worst days it can be causing her to be bedridden for weeks at a time. And then the last strong woman I am blessed to support is my grandmother. She has been struggling with the onset of Alzheimer's and dementia in the last 15 years. And that is a challenging illness, just the loss of independence and all of the things that come with it. The main thing that I'm hoping to portray to everyone at DMS here today is just to focus on your own experience and to not compare it to others. I, interestingly enough, didn't even classify myself as a caretaker until talking to Jennifer and realizing some of the things I was doing in my day-to-day, like helping with medication or driving and being the transportation for your family members. Those things just feel like doing what needs to be done when someone needs your help, but those really are caregiving activities. So I hope that that helps some of you see that maybe you can gain something from those of us who are sharing this experience with you here at DMS.
Hey, I'm Jen. I'm a marketing director with DMS, and I've been part of the company for a little over a year. So I'm here to talk about caregiving also, but from the perspective of a sudden caregiver. And I guess in short, that just means what it sounds like. You're not a caregiver one day and you are the next. So my story kind of is involving my mom. I was in Nashville in a meeting one morning and got a phone call from my brother. And just like that, we were in a conversation with the surgeon wanting to do a procedure to remove blood clot from my mom's brain, and she was unconscious at the time. So it was like kind of a very sudden, shocking situation. I was on a plane in 2 hours, arrived. Thankfully, we weren't in the hospital very long, and physically she recovered well, but now she has a condition called aphasia, as well as apraxia. And all that means is you maintain your intelligence, but you can't speak. You'll learn how to speak all over again. So the journey was sudden in that I became a caregiver overnight, and now 5 years later, we've walked this journey of everything from doing everything on her behalf to slowly giving her empowerment back, speech therapy, physical therapy, and navigating the whole world of insurance and care from a perspective of myself having a full-time career and trying to figure out the balance. So much like what Jess was saying, when we're talking together, it's just like we're definitely not the only people experiencing this at DMS, and just wanted to reach out and provide and start the conversation around both those sides of caregiving, just so that we can come together and support one another and provide resources and support each other, because this is most likely an ongoing situation.
So I thought about this one a lot because a lot of things were coming to mind, but I think for me the most important thing I learned was just to be a little kinder to myself. Because I was about 6 years old when my sister got diagnosed and became severely ill, I knew what caregiving was just like in my day-to-day life from a really young age. And I ended up being a very independent child. I ended up doing a lot more than a normal 10 or 11-year-old would do. And it ended up becoming something in my adult life I had to figure out how to rein back, because I have very, very high expectations for myself. So I think I just needed to learn to take a step back and to realize I need to treat myself the way that I treat those that I care for, and be a little more empathetic on the hard days, because it really does take a toll when you're the one supporting your loved ones as well.
Yeah, super important. And again, it doesn't matter what level of caregiving, if you're put in a position to like almost have to, I guess, in your situation, it's that way. So for me, I feel like definitely like drinking out of a fire hose. It was like flip a switch and everything is upside down. So looking back 5 years later, I'm out of the clear from like the traumatic first initial change. I think the empowerment of learning that there's a differentiation I can make between my emotions and like my feelings, and this might sound trivial, but I can go into logistics on how to find these things and where to get information and resources. But what really helped me, the biggest thing I've learned about myself, is when I figured out that whatever emotions come, and they come heavy, like you said, they come hard. And this is, again, just 5 years ago. Having experienced trauma other times in my life, trauma compounds. And so it's like, it will trigger other things. And so I'm reacting on, I just felt like everything, there's just no stability, and I needed to find it quick. So when I learned that these emotions that come, these triggers that come, to like sit in it for a minute and then decide how I'm gonna feel. And the one definition I gave that I can kind of almost blank statement, at least a starting point, is I had told myself, I am made for this. So anything that happens, I don't know the answers. I don't provide answers. I don't think I don't have all the answers for myself, but it was a starting point to then give myself the right positioning so that I'm actually looking for solutions instead of adding like unbelievable emotions on top, and it's just this whirlwind. Just to quiet it down was that simple distinction between these emotions are real and I feel them, yes, and I'll give them a place, but right now I have to get this done. So I'm going to feel empowered, and I will find a way, because there are answers. There's answers to everything, just a matter of time. So having emotions mixed in there just made it 10 times harder. And once I could figure that out, I felt like, everything else could just one step at a time.
So you shouldn't have to have all the answers, but
but you say shouldn't, but it's just like, but if I don't, like in my situation, like in you, it's like, but who else will? So this is enormous like responsibility, and like that's why you say give yourself the same grace. That's where that comes and ties in hand, for sure. Yeah. It's basically recalibrate. If I tried to carry my life on my workload exactly at the same speed of light and also do all of these things, I had to calibrate doctor appointment times at my mom's like height where she could actually function well, and she had a small hour window of time every day, and that was during business hours. So it's just like recalibrating my expectations on everything. And if I could give any advice in that direction, it would be, as my sister had put it, she goes, it's just acknowledging and accepting a new normal. And that really helped me let go, and it helped me to really free up and adjust. So how about yourself?
Good or bad, it's just normal. It's our new normal.
Every day is new. It's an adventure.
Very
instead
relatable.
of How about yourself?
I think one of my main ones, you kind of started referencing it too, but just ask for help. I think I'm so used to doing things on my own and being the one that's supporting others. That was something I had to get used to doing, and your example of the doctor's appointments midday is perfect. So if you have something like that can easily make this burden a little bit lighter, ask your manager, ask your coworkers, and make sure that's known, because if you're not honest and vulnerable about this is something I'm trying to navigate and create a normal around, no one will know to help you. So I think definitely speak up and ask for help from those around you.
The second one, do you have a second one?
Sure. Yeah, we started talking about it a little bit earlier, but I think the second tip I would have is just acknowledge the emotions you have. Caregiving can provide a whole host of emotions, many of them being seemingly negative. Like you can be fearful, times resentful for the person you're caring for because of the lost opportunity you normally had in your past normal. Like there's so many things, and I think knowing that those are normal emotions, just feeling them and moving on, and it doesn't mean you don't love your loved one. It just means you're human and you're adjusting, and I think that's something that is a hard battle to get over, but once you realize it and accept it, it becomes just so much easier from then
That's
on
so
out.
true. Yeah, it's all those things. Exactly. It's hard to, then you feel guilty or I did.
And then
Feel
you
guilty.
compound it.
Yeah, feel guilty for being angry and it's not even your fault and I'm a terrible person.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't
It
help.
snowballs quickly.
It just doesn't help.
Yeah, so it's
but-
like stop, breathe, human.
Right. Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, stop being human. Yes, just be human. Which kind of is where my second one goes. It's just like the whole line from the song "Check Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself." It's a little more into the self-care side of things. I have like 3 little sub points that I wanted to point out. Number 1, don't underestimate the power of a playlist. When I say I like put playlists together for almost different moods, like way at the beginning when it was just like, you know, like anger was rushing or I needed to calm down, or it was more like I just needed a place where maybe the song lyrics were expressing words that I just couldn't say but I needed to release. And it's also a safe place. It's like I won't be releasing those emotions to a person or unleashing it. I could like self-contain in a playlist and go for a walk, and like it was just a really hands-on, don't need to add to my day type of thing that I could start doing like right away.
Yeah.
So there was one. The second one was like I found I made it. We don't have time. Not only do you not have time normally, but now that you're a caregiver, you're like, okay, now I really don't have time. But you make time for things that are important. In fact, I feel like it made things easier to focus because I had less time to waste. So it was more like I made a non-negotiable thing for myself. And it was so hard to do because I thought in the hours of the day, I'm going to cut out a whole hour to work out. Like, oh, I can't afford that. You know, I could be doing in an hour. But I'll tell you what, at first it was that way, and after a while it was just like, that is my place to like process and work things out. And working out obviously has its own effects mentally, positively, so that I'm working out my frustrations that way. So that was what worked for me. And the last one really quick was, I never looked back in the last 5 years and thought fondly or treasured memories of checking off big things. Like, oh my God, do you remember that time I made like 10 doctor's appointments? And like, I don't treasure those things. What I treasure are the times that we put aside, despite what's going on, to connect with said loved one that you're caring for and family. And I have a great family. It's awesome that we're so tied that way and have gotten tighter. We didn't always, you know, there's those moments, but I feel like we carved out like Sundays, and we just had a couple of hours where that's the time where we get outside of our situation and maybe go do something or go eat and just connect. And that truly was something, again, I look back on, and that's what I remember. I don't remember, you know, accomplishing good, and it's necessary, but think back, you just want to be able to be present and not sacrifice that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Your last one,
yeah. Well, you segued right into it, because I think for me it was identifying what does self-care mean to you. So whether it's the workout hour or it's scheduling your family Sundays, make that a priority and schedule it, like physically put it on a calendar and schedule it before you need it. Because that was one thing I learned, is I would always let that be the thing that got pushed. I'll do it next week, and by the time you need it, it's too late. You're already overwhelmed, and it's a lot harder to come back from that. So just give yourself that moment to have whatever it is that grounds you and centers you, and then it'll make you so much more prepared for all those like lists of things you do need to do that inevitably need to be done.
Yep. And then that segues into my last point, which is the need of connection. So don't underestimate the importance of connection. There are support groups for all, believe it or not, and nowadays you can get access to it on your phone, like from anywhere, but there are support groups for every kind of like medical condition, mental condition, like there are support groups and people of like-mindedness, and I feel that really helps, because then you really feel seen and understood on a level that you just can't any other way. So connection, and so that's why we're talking here, is trying to open that up a little bit further, to open that door and create connection here, to start the conversation and just go through this journey together.
Yeah, I hope this helps you guys, and I hope you reach out and talk to those around you, because it really does make all the difference.
Yeah, so and
Pew, pew.
That's a wrap. Reynolds wrap, as the kids say these days. I think we're good.
We did it!
Yay!